Story 1. Running a window air conditioning unit and 3 other fans all day. I don't have air conditioning, and last summer was miserable sitting in a house over 90 degrees. I will work the extra hours to make up for the comfort of a slightly cooler studio. Story 2. I refuse to buy margarine instead of butter even though it is now $6.50 per pound here. I may dole out pats of it like it is congealed gold, but you can pry it from my cold, dead hands. Story 3. Shoes. Everything gives me blisters except the one kind I really like, and being in pain ruins things for me. So if I want to enjoy anything, I've got to have shoes that work. Story 4. My favorite ice cream. It's not even a pricey one like Ben & Jerry's, but for a month or two I felt that Turkey Hill's mint chocolate chip was out of my price range. Worth the little splurge though. Story 5. My cat's food. I spend about $45 to $50 per bag, but I'm okay with that. I'd rather splurge a little to make sure my cat is getting the best he possibly can. I would never feed my pet something like Friskies or Meow Mix. Story 6. High-quality groceries. I refuse to skimp on fresh produce and quality ingredients just to save a few dollars. It's one area where I'm not willing to sacrifice, even if it means adjusting my budget elsewhere. Story 7. Good contact lenses. Once you go with the extended wear lenses that are very breathable and can be worn for as long as you want, you'll never go back to the regular ones again that irritate and hurt your eyes after about 12 hours. Story 8. My mattress. Seriously, a good quality mattress is the best investment you can make. You spend a third of your time on it. Better make it something comfortable that will help stop you from getting back pain as you get older. Story 9. Wired earbuds. No matter how much technology changes, I will still use what I enjoy. In cheap local places that sell good food, you'll pry that from my cold, dead hands. Story 10. Good quality olive oil. I can easily spend anywhere from $20 to $30 for a good bottle of extra virgin olive oil from Spain. But it is worth every cent because it can turn the simplest of meals into something divine. I don't have much, but a good tasting meal can make any dour day into something worth living for. And it doesn't even have to be a fancy, complicated meal. A sheet pan laid out with veggies like cauliflower and potatoes, and then seasoned with paprika, turmeric, olive oil, salt, and fresh cracked pepper. Delicious. Story 11. I don't drink soda all that often, so when I do, I'm going to spend the extra money to get the good stuff instead of trying to pretend like Dr. Perky is the same as Dr. Pepper to save 30 cents. Story 12. Parmesan cheese. Not the craft brand, not the store brand. I mean the real Parmigiano Reggiano. Also, air conditioning in the summer. I can exist in a 45-degree apartment, but I will not tolerate a 102-degree apartment. For reference, I don't keep the thermostat at a temperature that I don't like just to save money. I run the air conditioning as much as needed to stay comfortable, and I run the heat as much as needed to stay comfortable. I don't see any value in keeping the apartment at 72 degrees. That's already a little warm by my standards, and also, I want to be covered in blankets and made warm. So I want my apartment on the cool side. No, 68 is not cool. And be made warm by delicious blankets or hoodies. Story 13. A good night out with the girlfriend. She studies hard, I work hard. We both deserve it, so I think it's worth it to spend $200 to $300 on a good evening and night out with her. Bowling, dinner, and drinks is our jam. Usually, we grab some chips and ingredients for ice cream sundaes on our way home and watch a movie. Story 14. Anything self-care. Nice teas in tea bowls, skincare routines, good soaps, candles. If I am not feeling good, then nothing else feels good, so to me it is worth it. Story 15. Grass-fed finished beef. Regular beef is so bland, and I don't think we realize this. Even the very lean cuts and ground beef are leagues better than regular store-bought beef. I'll do the Angus cuts as well, but everything else literally pales in comparison. Story 16. I always brine or marinate chicken. Life is too short to eat bland chicken. Sautéed mushrooms with my home-cooked steak when it goes on sale and looks good. And yes, I use a charcoal grill for a single meal by myself. I make rich broths, stocks, salsa, and sauces and skip on dessert. I may not be enjoying the finer things in life, but when I cook, I'm making up for something. Story 17. This may sound crazy to some people, but going to a private 4-year university instead of a 2-year community college then transferring, as expensive as it is, why would I want to spend any money on things that would only make me feel regretful and miserable? I felt like I missed a lot of my high school experience because of COVID, so I wanted to go to a school with small classes, good professors, and be there for the full 4 years to have a community and make friends. You just can't get that at most state schools or community colleges. I'm willing to spend money for my mental health and to experience things I want to. Story 18. Goat's milk soap, and only the stuff freshly made with liquid goat's milk and not the powdered substitute. I have eczema pretty bad, and it cleared up my skin so fast, I'll never go back. $7 to $9 a bar depending on who I'm getting it from in my area. Story 19. I won't spend more than my budget. I see these people saying they make $250,000 a year and still struggle, and I'm like, bro, I make $80,000 a year and I have an apartment, 2 cars, and a phone. Things are great. The only debt I have since I've paid my cars off are my monthly necessities. If I want to have those things, I could live in my car if I really wanted to save $2,000 a month. But an extra $170,000 a year would be life-changing if I could find a job that paid me $120,000 a year. Oh well, maybe it's a lifestyle I'll just never understand. Story 20. Name brand toilet paper. I tried the Costco brand because it was so much cheaper, but it was awful. Back to Charmin, it's worth it. I guess being able to wipe my butt with something nice is a little luxury that's important to me. Haha. Story 21. Period products and hair care products. I will pay $7 to $12 per container of shampoo, conditioner, or curling cream just to keep my hair as healthy as it has been, and I only ever use organic pads and tampons in case I cannot use my cup or disc. I will never go back to being cheap for those products. Story 22. Defeating Republicans. They are the reason everything is so expensive. Cue the brainwashed Republican supporters trying to spread lies and misinformation to claim that Democrats are to blame despite evidence and logic proving otherwise. Also, cue the downvotes by people who hate the truth. Story 23. Nothing. I stay within my lane and live within my means. I like what I like, and I know what's just right and what's too much. Health is wealth. Mental health, physical health, social health, sexual health, faith health. Story 24. Maple syrup. I tried a bottle of the log cabin of my youth and thought, how can people use this stuff? A tablespoon or so of maple on my waffle is enough. Story 25. Popcorn in cinema. Yes, I know sometimes I pay more for popcorn than the ticket itself. But, dear God, the smell of buttered popcorn while watching your favorite newly released movie. Nothing can replace that. Story 26. Food for sure. And I don't mean eating out, but eating food that I enjoy makes me happy and makes me not dwell so much on the state of the world. So yes, I'm still going to buy the fresh salmon and dance while I'm cooking it. Story 27. I'm going to say air conditioning. I spent years overheating because we didn't have air conditioning in our house after lightning struck it. Mom and Dad's room got a window unit, and we could rarely go in unless it was above 100 degrees. I bought my house, and the first requirement was air conditioning. When the air conditioning broke, I had it fixed within 2 days. My husband said he would be okay with a box fan until he noticed I get short-tempered when I'm hot. Story 28. This is a value in my family. My wife and I want to enjoy the world and expose our children to different cultures as they grow up. We make major sacrifices to see this happen. Story 29. As a hobbyist, non-competitive bodybuilder, my food budget is outrageous. I'm single and make good money, and I'm willing to spend it on something I enjoy doing. I love the way it makes me look and feel, but to be honest, I do often wish I didn't have to spend so much money on it sometimes. But it is what it is. Story 30. High-quality food for our pets. We have cats and a dog, and I refuse to buy any of the cheap options. I always get the healthy brand for them, even if it is expensive, because they deserve the best. Story 31. Food for my dog and cats. They are all 3 super healthy, have great teeth, and 2 of the 3 are geriatric. While I would never do it differently, they are so expensive to feed now that their food is up almost 60%. Story 32. With rising costs, Something I'm unwilling to compromise on is quality food. Maintaining a healthy diet with fresh, nutritious ingredients is essential. Cutting corners on food quality to save money can lead to health issues down the line, which would be even more costly in terms of medical bills and well-being. Story 33. I'm going to spend less time in the pub. Going for beers and a pub lunch was a weekly indulgence, but it's also the least necessary of all my expenses. Story 34. I like to get reasonable quality stuff I want and get the best deal possible on it. Too many times, I've tried to get the cheapest option for something and ended up having to rebuy anyway. Ballpoint pens. I can't handle those cheap stick pens anymore. I get one chunky pen and refill the ink cartridges. I guess the moral of the story is you have to decide if this item is disposable or a lifetime item. I bought a yarn winder with some Christmas money a few years ago. That thing is heavy duty, lasts a lifetime, maybe $80. A similar item is a yarn swift. I was like, okay, how much am I going to need to use this? Will the $12 Amazon one do the job once in a blue moon? Will a cheap umbrella fail during its first storm? Or has it done enough to be worth it for that one use? The girl math idea kind of highlights the life cycle of goods, but it's not so much an excuse to spend more money as it is to evaluate the worth of something. Not just for the initial price, but does the utility and joy you get out of it last, or does it become clutter or waste? Story 35. Shoes and jackets. You can find good new stock for a lot less than you'd think if you know where to look. And life is too short to wear shoes that make my feet hurt or jackets that can't keep me warm. I live in the mountains, so I have more of an incentive than most people. Story 36. I grew up on the maple-flavored syrup product. Not the same. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the texture and consistency of the syrup. Maybe that it isn't loaded with preservatives to keep it in the pantry for a nuclear winter. Maybe it's that it really does just taste so much better. Whatever it is, I can never go back to non-maple syrup. If the label says anything other than maple syrup on the ingredients list, I'm going to toss it. Story 37. A friend from the United States came over to Australia and laughed at the high price of a can of Coca-Cola. Even allowing for exchange rate conversion, she said 50 Australian cents was over the limit. That was years ago. We had Coca-Cola manufactured from imported syrup, using Australian water and aluminum cans. I stopped buying Coca-Cola in cans, and that was too many years ago. I cannot remember how long since I saw Coca-Cola in the supermarket in any quantity at 50 cents per can. Story 38. I'm really into Danish and mid-century modern design, and I will never buy a knockoff piece. I'm not rich, but I am patient and I will save for years and wait for sales before I'd ever buy a reproduction. Originals last forever and retain their value. You'll see a lot of similar sentiment at Buy It for Life. Since COVID-19, I work from home a lot, and having surroundings you love that you know are timeless is worth it to me. Story 39. I couldn't afford my curly hair care anymore, so I cut off my butt-length hair. I couldn't afford it and I didn't know how to deal with it. Thank you, chin-length hair. Story 40. My hair care routine. I have thick, wavy, and frizzy hair. So, if I use something other than what works for my hair, I end up looking like a pom-pom or a very oily mess. Story 41. I used to go with the cheap shampoo you would find at whatever store that sells junk, and I had so much static electricity going on that I could never even wear my hair down because it was too much. Now I've finally found a brand that works for me, including their conditioner. Even if it costs more, I'm willing to pay to be able to have my hair down every once in a while. Story 42. The baby boomers will hate me for this, but coffee. I just love coffee. I don't want cheap coffee, I want good coffee. If I can't afford a good coffee, I won't have any coffee. If I can afford a good coffee, you can bet your ass I'm buying the coffee. Story 43. Bourbon. I've cut back on my beer, red wine, and steak, and I brown bag for work instead of going out for lunch. But my bourbon is my comfort and solace, and I will not give it up. Story 44. My sleeping setup. I'll live in squalor and eat scraps, but I'm going to bed on a good mattress with a memory foam topper, a good pillow, and good sheets. Story 45. Good, nutritional food. I am feeding the family fresh and clean as much as possible, and I refuse to fall into unhealthy habits. It is sad but true that being healthy costs more money. Story 46. The one component I refuse to compromise on is my morning coffee ritual. It might seem small, but that quiet second with my favorite brew sets the tone for my day. I remember trying to switch to instant coffee to save money, and I was miserable for weeks. Now, I'd rather skip a night out or buy generic groceries than give up my great beans. It's my little luxury that keeps me sane in this crazy, expensive world. Story 47. Good bread. Not cheap sandwich stuff. I live on bread and peanut butter, grilled cheese, real butter on my toast, French toast, hamburger gravy on bread or toast. It's just me, and I basically live at work, so simple and quick is key. After one loaf of cheap bread with my sandwiches falling apart, I went back to the good stuff. And butter. Gotta have butter. Still cheaper than fast food. Story 48. I still buy the brand name cleaning products because they are better. Also, the expensive nighttime diapers I buy for my youngest child are amazingly better than the cheap ones. They actually last all night. Story 49. Maple syrup. From a tree. Prefer light amber if you can find it. Costs about as much as good scotch. That corn syrup with fake flavors will kill you. I won't get pancakes outside the house if the eatery has pancake syrup, and will pay extra for real if they even sell it. Story 50. Shoes, watches, and haircuts. Shoes protect your feet and you only have one pair. A broken watch is right twice a day, and that's a lot of time to be wrong. Your hair is one of the first things people notice about you, and it's hard to take a bad haircut seriously. I miss you, Chief Johnson.